of Pins Prince and see you again. It's still Magic Supreme. 2 lengths clear over Prince Prince. Here it is. Magic Supreme, a champion, breaks the champion's record. Ep1 overtakes Marira. Golden Express, Bundle of Charms still in front, packing Treadmill. Golden Express outside the 3 from Flying Ace. Bundle of Charms still in front. Golden Express a drive. Favourite wins the last. Champion jockey, champion trainer. They take the season finale. Pertinence eyes. Golden 60's taken over now. He's a length in front of California's Bengal and Romantic Warrior. And Hong Kong's horse of a generation wins the race of the decade.
A brilliant season last season. We are refreshed and ready to launch into the Triple Trio. Hong Kong racing starts Sunday. The best form analyst in the business in Hong Kong, Clint Hutchison. Hutch cannot wait for the season.
It's great to have a break in with Hong Kong racing every season. We come back, we're refreshed, we're ready to go. And just seeing those highlights, Richo, from last year gets the blood pumping. Gee, if we have a season like that again, we'll be all very happy because we were treated as amazing racing.
And our very special guest today is Hugh Bowman, who wouldn't mind knocking off Zach Purton, who was absolutely brilliant, of course, last season. We're called the Triple Trio. We really should just be called Shane, Di and us. He joins us, the star of the show. Shane, we are ready to launch into a magnificent season. How are you, mate?
I'm well, and you're looking well, Richo. You're shining as bright as ever, I see.
I'm feeling amazing, mate. I know what Hutch has been doing on the break. What have you been doing? How have you freshened up?
I've had a pretty quiet time. I actually didn't do much. I went to New Zealand a few times, just been around different places and just relaxed. I didn't do much. Actually didn't do a lot of gambling in the off season, which is unusual for me. But it's refreshing. Can't wait for the new season, which starts Sunday, of course. And I'm sure it should be another good one like last one.
Yeah, bring it on. And for those that have been subscribing to Hutchie's Honkers, we are hoping, no pressure, for another outstanding season. Hutch, as we reflect on last season, the profit and return was fantastic.
Yeah, we had a great
well
year.
done.
No, like I said, we'd be more than happy. I think on the racing front and our results were great. So this is what we did through this season, 88 meetings. We have a best bet every meeting and we got 42 of them home. And if you played by our strategy on the tote there, you made a profit of 13%. So if we can get even half of that this year, I'll be, in terms of profit on turnover, be more than happy. So wish us luck. Yeah,
wish us luck. We'll give you all the news coming up with Out of the Gates. We've got, of course, Sweet in Defeat. I'll update you how that happens. Always a highlight each and every year, and each and every show is Genius or Slaughter, where Shane Dye casts his eye over the rides. Of course, we've just come from an off-season, but we'll launch a brand new prize as well. Looking forward to some world racing as well, some updates, including over in Europe, and a very special guest in Hugh Bowman. And Nicole Purton will be giving us that inside running in Hong Kong as well. So a huge show. Let's burst out of the gates first. We are nice and refreshed. What have the jockeys been doing, Hutch, while they've been having time off?
Well, a lot of them lead a very good lifestyle by the look of it.
Damn good life. I want to be a Purton, I tell you. If they enjoy a good
only
time.
about 50 kilos lighter, I'd be, this is what we could be doing. This is obviously Zach on holiday. He's travelled round the globe.
That's Zach and Cash?
Zach and Cash.
A little bit of black caviar, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I didn't have caviar when I was growing up. Did you? We might ask Nicole about that. Here's Alexi Badell and Eva and their family going on a nice little beach holiday, which is superb. Lyle Hewitson, well, he was planning the next phase of his life. He got married.
There you go. Yeah, well, congratulations to Lyle and
Hannah.
Looks like he's got the moves there as well, Lyle. So
damn straight.
Nothing wrong with that.
He was fantastic on our show last season. Karis Teaton, well, he went on holiday.
Look at it.
With Xavier, and they went to Mauritius. That looks like
caught one.
Oh, well, I reckon he did because he's talented. Matty Chadwick, what did he do? A working holiday over at Ascot.
Yeah, well, of course, Matty took over because Vincent was injured, so thoughts go out to Vincent as well. Well, he had a fall in Japan. He's supposed to be back in the middle of the month, and He'll be joining our show when he can. But yeah, Matty Chadwick went to the Shergar Cup, so he's had a good season. Anton Hamlin climbed a mountain.
Okay, not just a mountain. That looks a seriously big mountain.
5,895 metres, if you don't mind.
Shane, that's what you had planned, didn't you? Did you actually get up the top?
I couldn't think of anything worse. It wouldn't even enter my mind, that. Oh, my God. If I was told I had to do... I once dated a girl going back 2009, and she climbed Mount Everest and wanted me to go. And I said, I'm not going there. And it cost her $75,000 Aussie just to go there to do it.
Right.
And she said, can you just come and stay in base camp? And she showed me and everything. And you don't have to come up the mountain. I said, I won't even get to the plane. I said, there's no hope I'm going. Anyway, she didn't get up the top. She made it 3/4 away and nearly died. She actually nearly died, lost so much weight and got really sick. And but she used to climb all the mountains around the world, yeah.
Okay.
But definitely not my cup of tea.
No.
And no possible way.
No, sitting by the pool's more his go, just relaxing. Hey, this new season, we welcome in some new jockeys and trainers.
Yes, that we do too. A couple of new jockeys and trainers. And we say goodbye to a couple as well.
Yeah.
Richard Gibson has obviously departed. Tony Millard is no longer training in Hong Kong, and Peter Ho didn't quite get the required numbers. But yeah, Keegan
So Mark
DeMilo,
Newnham's going to be a big one,
there,
isn't he?
and some of his horses have trialled really well.
Yeah.
We know Mark well from Australia and obviously in Sydney, and he's got that sort of. I think he'll settle in well into Hong Kong as well. Richo and Cody Mo, is it?
Yep.
Is that the full? I'm not sure is his full name actually, but
And Keegan DeMello.
Keegan DeMilo, from South Africa. So you got to be successful in whatever country you're from in terms of the riding ranks. So it's good to see another South African join the ranks.
And Andrea Atzeni, that's going to be a big... So rode, nearly 10 years ago?
Yeah, Andrea Shane, he rode in Hong Kong some time ago. He had a little bit of success there. He didn't ride there for a great amount of time, but probably a nice time of his career to have a throw at the stumps, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it was about 10 years ago, wasn't it? He was there. It's always hard for a lot of them when they come, and especially if they come halfway through the season and they kind of don't handle it that well and they leave, and then they come back and they can do better when they come back. So hopefully all the new boys will do well and they get off to a good start.
And we did mention Vincent Ho. So for those that were unaware, Vincent Ho was injured in a terrible fall in Japan and fractured his T5 vertebra. So apparently he's recovering well, and a big shout out to him. Our thoughts go out to him. So back around September 17, so a delayed start. But overall, that's a good result, because when he first fell, we were really worried about him.
He was hoping to be back by the first meeting, but he's obviously couldn't quite meet that date. But yeah, it's very fortunate. I didn't see the fall personally, but the whole situation, just reading what Vincent had to say, I think, in various publications post that. Shane, I don't know if you saw any of it, but it sounded horrific. I think he was waiting about 40 minutes for an ambulance post the fall, so he was in a lot of pain.
And do not move.
Yeah, so...
But Clinton, saying that sometimes you can't be moved. I remember one day I cracked a hip in my vertebrae at the half mile at Sha Tin. They didn't move me, and it was last race. They didn't move me for nearly 45 minutes to an hour because they couldn't. They cut my boots off, my pants, and they didn't want to move me that day just in case. So it's sometimes not the fault of the club or the ambulance or whatever. It's just the circumstances. It's best for you not to be moved until they've got everything set up for you.
Yeah, just to clarify, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just sort of saying what transpired.
Yeah, he did say that it was tough. Australian racing fans, strap yourself in. Romantic Warrior is running not once but twice in Australia, runs in the Turnbull Stakes, runs in the Cox Plate. This is so exciting, not just for Australian, but for world racing. We want to see these great Hong Kong horses travel.
We do, and it's unusual that we see them over the Spring Carnival as well. And I know people have come out with the stats going, well, Hong Kong horses haven't travelled well there, but this is very unusual.
He's different
to bring a top liner. Also to have a race targeted during that period, because most of the time they're targeted towards December. Danny Shum, who's been very successful as well at this, travelling internationally, all the way back from when he was assistant trainer to Ivan Allen. It's very exciting, I think, for world racing, like you said.
Yeah, bring it on. Shane,
just
what
thing
can
there,
Australia
Richo.
expect with Romantic Warrior, mate?
Just one thing, that's a load of rubbish. Hong Kong horses don't do well. When was the last one that went there? Hardly any go.
I reckon Viva
I know
Pitaka?
Lucky 9 won. I know Cape of Good Hope won.
Yeah, he won a Group 1.
Yeah, I
Won a
think
Group 1, and he was only a second-rate sprinter in Hong Kong.
I think that's the reality, though, Shane. Very few have gone. I mean, Viva Pitaka.
They don't go, Richo.
That's
so
right.
I read that somewhere where they said Hong Kong horses don't do well. I'm thinking they win every week. The ones that are no good and go home when they're retired, I see them winning every week in Australia.
They do.
So the good ones just don't go there because it's not profitable for them to go there.
So why is Romantic Warrior coming? Because of the prestige, Shane, of winning a Cox Plate?
Prestige, no doubt. It might fit into his campaign with the Hong Kong International instead of going to Japan.
Yeah.
They just might want to win a Cox Plate and do it. It's something Danny Shum probably's always wanted to do, train a horse to win a big race in Australia. And he's got the right owner to suggest the horse goes. I think they've done a great job all their career, and I keep saying that with Golden 60 not keeping and travelling him. He's going to get longevity because of it. You know, you travel horses and sometimes they don't handle it. You've seen it before with Silent Witness. I've seen it in Australia a lot. Shaftesbury Avenue was one. He nearly died, I think, when he went to Japan.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of horses that don't travel, but if you get the right horse, they'll travel every day of the week, you know.
And you've got the right jockey, because James McDonald has got a broken bone in his foot, but he's resting at the moment, but he wants to be back to ride in the Turnbull.
There's a piece that we're going to say hello to Nicole Purton shortly, but there's a little piece that Nicole's put together talking to Danny Shum, and it is extremely interesting, some of the feedback that he gives on what's already transpired with Romantic Warrior going forward. So make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the show, because Shane, I think you'll be quite interested in what he's got to say.
Okay, so that's coming up in the show. Hey, let's get Sweet in defeat.
They're off. And Sugar missed the start by 4 lengths. Then Dublin Star. Sugar fast buck, smart leader. Oversubscribed, lunges at the post. Missed. Sugar. That's a sweet win for Alfie Chan.
Well, traditionally, part of our show is the Sweet in Defeat file, but as we're having our first meeting this Sunday, we've flipped it on their head and given Hutch the big task of going through the trials and actually finding some horses to follow.
Going to pick out 5 horses, Richo, to follow through the early part of the season and perhaps the whole season with a few of them. I think Cassafounds has one that jumped out really well in Victoria called Yo Ho Ho. That will be one to keep an eye on. And similar case with Jamie Richards is Mr. Maestro, who I'll talk a little bit more about with some of his profiling with Group 1 Goldmine. Invincible Sage was a former Victorian called Thronbone, who's
Right.
I think the wet tracks probably may not have just played in his favour at the end of last season. He's a horse to stick with. I think he can win a couple at least this season. Progressive horse in More Rice, who had 1 run for Benno Jung last preparation and runs actually against Fortune Warrior. Both these horses have trialled well, and each one of them run in the same race there on the weekend. But those were a few to have a look at, Rich. I think going forward, I think it would be well worth following those.
Mr. Maestro is an interesting runner. Our Australian audience would know him, and also our New Zealand audience as well. How does he set up from a profile point of view with G1 Goldmine?
Well, we'd love to use this tool, and this is the good thing about Group 1 Goldmine as well. And they'll have a new actual tool on their website going forward, which we'll talk about later in the season, a thing called Stallion Match for those more in the sort of pedigree and breeding side of things. As far as the form side, this is a horse that's going to have his first start, Mr. Maestro. Of course, we know another Mr. Maestro in Australia, but this one is by Start Witness out of an octagonal mare, and the cross is that sort of 12 to 1400 metres is probably the sweet spot. This horse jumped out really well in Australia. It looks sharp, looks ready to go. I think it may have been trained by Clayton Douglas as well in Australia. So look out for this one going forward.
I was getting myself all confused with Andrew Forsman's
Yes.
Mr. Maestro when I saw that Jamie Richards was taking over that little New Zealand connection.
The Kiwis like to stick together, you know.
Of course they do. Jamie Richards is going to be another big moving star because he had a great impact in his first season last season. Talking about great impact, a quick pause. Genius or slaughter?
The end across, answering the urgings of Shane Dye. Mannerism coming at him. Mannerism has got it. Daring tactics by Shane Dye. He's got octagonal in full flight on the corner. Bold tactics by Shane Dye are going to pay off, and he pinches the Chipping Norton.
Always a highlight of each and every show is when our Hall of Famer, Shane Dye, casts his eye over the rides of the jockeys and says one was an absolute genius, another not so much, and we call it genius or slaughter. And Shane, looking forward to another great part of the season. You're never afraid to have an opinion, and we're going to reward those that you think have been fantastic.
Good. What are we going to call it?
Well, I was umming and ahhing, thinking about legend and thinking about best of the best, and then we realised that the man that's going to be delivering it is Billy Idol. So surely we'll call it the Idol.
Okay. I like it.
I'll tell you what, though, if I'm going to reward them for good rides, if one of them's in front and, like too many points, and they start slaughtering a couple, I might start deducting a few points, eh?
Well, I reckon that makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
They get points for good rides, and then they should be getting points deducted off them.
This will be a award every jockey will want to win, Shane, because as we know in Hong Kong, Zach gets most of the good rides and Huey will get a lot of good rides too, but you could win this award and it might be the best rider of the season.
So we could be
the Idol.
Points allocated every week, and also, good Shane, rides. Is that fair? For the Idol, points deducted?
You don't even have to win a race. You can run second. I gave a really good ride last year on Flaming Rabbit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that when he got beat on him and he just took off on a rain-affected track
Wild
at the
Hewison.
right time.
Yep.
Yeah, he got beat, but it was a very, very good ride.
And you know what you would have done there as well, Shane? You would have taken points off him for the next ride where he went too slow. But that's another matter.
That's right. I like the swings and roundabouts. I think this will make an award very different to any other award.
Yes.
So, yes, it's called the Idol. So Hong Kong jockeys, I know they all.
We will have a little sort of. We're going to try and get a little bobblehead.
A bobblehead of Shane.
Of Shane, and
I thought the funny thing about that last season.
Something like that.
Yeah, I like it.
I thought the funny thing about the slaughter or genius or whatever it was when we had Zach on last time, and he says, I know you're even going to give me the slaughter this week. He even knew he was getting the slaughter before he mentioned it.
Yeah.
So
and you said to him, it's coming.
Lucky, really bad.
It is coming. So a little bobblehead or a little trophy like that, especially with his brand new big thick thatch of hair he's got.
He's done well in the off season, hasn't he?
Haven't you been under the sun lamps or something?
No, not at all. I'd tell you if I had.
Jeez.
Not a hope. I haven't had one single word. I haven't even had any Botox yet.
He's found 3 lengths.
I tell you what, though, I might get my neck done when it starts to sag. And I'll tell you, Richo, you don't have to worry about that. But no, I've had no work done yet. But it's got to come. I'm nearly 57, so it's only a matter of time.
Oh, to look as good as you at 57, you are looking outstanding. Hey, Shane, what have you made of the new rules and regulations in regards to suspensions, changes with the Hong Kong Jockey Club, suspensions and penalties for jockeys?
It's pretty good. It's a fair system, I think. See, they don't want to suspend jockeys for too long in Hong Kong because there's not enough jockeys. And also, if you're not riding, you'll just leave there. So they've got to be fair, and they're going to reward, of course, jockeys who have a good riding record and not much interference, which they never really do. They'll say you've got a good record and they'll still give you 2 days. But now it's going to go a bit different, I see. I'm sure you would have it up there how it's going to go, Richo.
Yeah, so suspensions will range from 0 days to 8 and fines from 1 day to 4. But also, this is the important one, and that's what Shane just touched on. Jockeys without a careless riding charge within their past 200 rides will be discounted a 1 meeting suspension and a 2-day fine. Those fines are based on Hong Kong $60,000.
Yeah, I think they've capped it, which is good, and also because some of those fines were getting very big as well. And we heard from Shane towards the end of last season about how he said, he was going for the title one year in Douglas White, and he got a suspension or something came out. And as Shane mentioned, they also want riders out there. So I think it's good that they reward the guys that haven't been in the room all year. So I think it's a positive all round.
And I go to read on. 2 charges within a rider's past 200 mounts will see a deduction of a 1-day fine, while 3 is neutral, and anything above that sees riders receive additional penalties for a poor record, while the standard penalty recently has been 2 meetings with increasing fines added for continued careless riding. There will be no recognition of a rider's good record.
It's good, and you did a good job reading that because I need these, Shane, and I know you do too, so he's done a good job,
so
Richo.
do I. Look, I need mine.
Are they new ones, Shane? Gee,
no?
You're looking...
What are they? Pradas.
He loves a label. He loves a label.
What are they? Oh, they're Pradas. Hey, talking of Prada, the perfect segue. Inside Running with Nicole Purton. a very special part of our show each and every week is someone on the ground, and we've got the best in the business in Nicole Purton. And Nicole, welcome back for another series. Thanks for agreeing to do it again. Firstly, how was your off-season?
Oh, thank you, guys. It's nice to be back. We had a really lovely off-season. We started in Hawaii. We did almost 3 weeks there. And then we went to Sydney for 2 weeks. And it was just so relaxing and nice. And it was quite an intense season last season, especially getting down to the last few meetings with Zach chasing that record, which I was very proud that he secured with 179 winners in the end. So it was just nice to go to Hawaii, relax, reflect on that, and then go home and have a look at our house, catch up with the family, friends. But I was very much looking forward to getting back to Hong Kong because I didn't have any clothes that fit me anymore, and I just couldn't drink any more Bloody Marys. I had to get out of there. So I'm glad I'm back, and I'm back on the
I find that hard to believe in regards to the clothes. But one thing I did note on social media, Nicole, did Zach wear a shirt at all for the first 3 weeks, or he just seemed to be sitting by a pool having a drink for 3 weeks straight?
Yeah, that sounds like him. It was nice to just be casual. There was definitely no dressing up. I tried to do a little bit of it, but Hawaii's quite relaxed. So, but no, we really enjoyed our time there, and we'd definitely recommend it to anyone.
He would have been easy to spot with that killer tan.
Oh, mate. Oh, the old Zach's moon
I can't speak
tan.
on that. I took my spray tan machine there, so I was very tan the whole trip.
Hey, Richo, not only do the jockeys get healthier in the off-season, the wives do also. Nicole's glowing. Look at her. Off-season's done her the world of good.
Yeah, she is looking magnificent.
I love coming on the show. You always make me feel $1 million when I leave.
Well, we are just still, every single show, we still just thank our lucky stars that you've agreed to do this for us. So we put you to work yet again. Now, who did you catch up with? Because I know Hutch and I and Shane have been talking about Romantic Warrior. Danny Shum, you've caught up with him.
I did. Everyone's very excited that we'll have a horse representing Hong Kong in the Cox Plate this year. And I did sit down with Danny Shum, and I talked to him about why he had targeted the Cox Plate for Romantic Warrior.
I think as a trainer, everyone want to win the overseas big races. The Cox Plate is one of the aim. And also the owner is really, really keen to go to overseas to try to win or try to run a good race, because he's confident to Romantic Warrior, and we confident to Romantic Warrior as well.
So last week, the typhoon wreaked havoc in Hong Kong, which meant Romantic Warrior couldn't trial before entering quarantine. Will he trial in Australia? And if yes, when will that be?
It's a really mess. It's a big pity, because it's supposed to trial on Saturday, and then go to quarantine on the Saturday evening. We have to follow the Australian government quarantine law, because he has to stay 2 weeks quarantine in Hong Kong, and then he go 3 weeks quarantine in Werribee before he run on the first race in Badminton. I don't have the trial, and 2 days typhoon in Hong Kong. He can't even go out. And then he moved to the quarantine exactly on Saturday because of the schedule needed. So and then he can't do any more trials. He can't do any more trials because quarantine in Hong Kong, no more trials. Even quarantine in Werribee, he don't have any trials. Lucky, I plan to go. I sent another Mr. Peter Lau's horse called Romantic Charm with him, so he can do some armor work in the turf gallop.
Okay, so that sounds far from ideal.
Yeah, it does. And some real concerns there, Nicole, with Danny, just on that preparation, the unfortunate, I mean, the global weather's up all over the place at the moment, and Hong Kong's obviously been suffering from that the last 24 hours with all that rain that you've got, but not ideal for Danny and Romantic Warrior.
No, it was very frustrating for all the trainers and jockeys because I believe the trials were meant to be on Friday at one stage, and then they got pushed back. And then, it's just been a flow-on effect for everybody. And now we've had this black rainstorm overnight. Hong Kong's like underwater in some places. It's terrible. I've never seen anything like it. So I'm glad for Danny that the horse was able to enter quarantine. It hasn't been ideal what's happened, but I know if anyone can, make it happen, it's Danny. I've been lucky enough to travel with him and his wife Christy for Zach to ride one of his horses, Little Bridge, in Royal Ascot, and he won the race. And Danny's just so meticulous and such a professional, and I'm sure he'll make it work and get the horse there in good order.
Yeah, I can imagine, Nicole, it's so important for Danny to have that experience of travelling horses overseas.
It is. I mean, I see it obviously from a very different perspective. I'm not out there under pressure having to ride or train the horse, but it's not an easy task. You're, as he mentioned, the horse is in quarantine. They've faced a few challenges actually this week and over the weekend besides the typhoon. I did speak with Danny about that. I believe we're going to hear from him next.
Horses are quite a lot, but this time the challenges is the biggest challenge for me and the stable. You know what? Just I give you an example. My horse is eating a feed called a Holiday 13. Is from USA. So I applied for the feed 8 weeks ago. I said, I want this feed. When the horse can come to the waterway, please ready this feed for me. They say, it should be okay because 8 weeks should be all right. Probably you can do it. So they can try to fix them out. But 4 days ago, a week ago, they told me, your feed cannot. You have to find another feed. So I have a good conversation with my stable vet. I said, in this case, we should change the feed now. Okay, we change the feed. Usually, I come very early in the morning. I feel cold in the morning. Come to check Romantic Warrior, the feed container. You have to finish all the feed. But now I come and check. We only have 4 pounds, 3 pounds left every night. The morning meal left 2 pounds, 1.5. It's quite big challenge, And also, I need to do the CT scan. I mean, not me, the hot Romantic Warrior need to do the CT scan before he travel to Australia. That's the first time. The second time we need to do the CT scan is before 7th of October. And the third time, we need to do another CT scan before the hospital 28th October. When horses do the CT scan, it needs sedation. It's quite painful for me to look at him, put the sedation, put his leg into the machine, do the CT scan. Wow. So it's a really big challenges for me. Lucky I have a good team. I have a good manpower, and Jockey Club support me. So, and I always think more difficult make me more tough. I feel I can do it.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. And once we put that out on social media, I want every Australian sports and racing fan who says, oh my God, we roll out the red carpet for these internationals, to watch it, observe it, consume it. If that horse wins the Cox Plate, it is Herculean what they're able to do.
It's well done, Nicole. That's some great information for everybody. And Shane, that part about the feed, it's just a little thing that all of us don't think about. But yeah, you change the way that he's fed day in, day out, and it's a big challenge for them.
But I don't understand why they can't get his feed. What, it's not allowed into Australia?
Yeah, it's a bit like
why would you take a horse to Australia to race? There's no good reason. The prize money's okay, but it's not better than Hong Kong. Hong Kong's prize money's better. And to go through all that, and then they've got to come back again, that answers your question, Richo, why Hong Kong horses actually don't go there, the good ones, to race. It's a waste of time, pointless.
Hey, Nicole, it certainly is tough. And you just saw the emotion in Danny's voice talking about that. And, you know, the feed's one thing.
And then the third, I didn't realise that to do.
The constant CT scan where you've got to be sedated. Nicole, I'm thankful as a racing fan in Australia that we get to see great horses like him arrive here. But, by gee, that's some effort.
I agree. I'm glad I only have to worry about an outfit to wear if I happen to go down with one of the horses. But you could tell from watching Danny, he was quite emotional, you know, worrying about the horse. And I can understand that being a horse person myself. But unfortunately, these are the rules that are in place and we all have to adhere to them. So, but yeah, it sounds like he's got it sorted. It's just been a bit of a bumpy ride this week.
Hey, Nick, you've also had a chance to chat to a few trainers about horses to follow for the season?
Yes, I caught up with 5 trainers this week at the track and they each gave me a horse to follow early in the season, starting with David Hayes.
I think Solid Chalar, who runs on the weekend, your husband rejected it, but he's a notorious bad judge.
I think Paul on Way.
Thank you very much.
Last season he's run good, and this season the horse is much more mature and much more stronger. I think this season he'll run a good season. I think he is.
Sports Legend is a nice horse of Mr. Hose that's come up by Deep Field. He's got a lot of pace and he's going to trial in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully he might do a bit of a job for us this season.
One for all. He'll be our first horse to the races. He's a good Happy Valley horse. Finished the season in good form last time, so I expect he'll start the season in good form.
I would say Greenwich. Looking forward to have a bright future.
Written them all down, Nicole. Thanks for doing that for us. Very much looking forward to a great season, and please stay involved. Please be with us.
Thank you. I would love to stay involved as long as you'll have me.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Hey, good luck to you and the family for a big season, especially your very talented husband.
Thank you. And can I just say, Shane, I look forward to Zach receiving or winning the Idol this year. We've got a few trophies that I'll make sure I clear a space for it.
Don't worry.
I'm sure it would be prize a session, wouldn't it? That
absolutely.
Horse and me.
Yeah, straight to the pool room.
I'll tell you what, the Idol, you're going to have to get rid of one of those handbags for the Idol to fit into the house, Nick.
Oh, hell no, that won't be happening. We're getting into the trophy cabinet, so I'll make sure there's a spare space for it.
Brilliant stuff, Nicole Purton, a special part of our show. Thanks so much. All right, we launch from that into global racing. Let's talk world racing, and Hutch, this year we're going to continue to support these world pool meetings, which were an unbelievable success. I had the great pleasure of being at Royal Ascot and betting into the world pool there. Fantastic results.
I did notice that, and you were counting the readies as well. They didn't do a bad job, but hopefully you can find us a winner or two as well. We've got a big meeting coming up on the weekend, don't we, on Saturday in Ireland?
Yeah, in Leopardstown in Ireland. This is the Irish Champion Stakes meeting.
It's always a good race, the Irish Champion Stakes.
No doubting that.
Yep.
So the Matron Stakes is a Group 1 race for the mares, but the Irish Champion Stakes year on year always produces such quality performers. I mean, this is 2,000 metres, elite weight for age performers, and I've been given the task to try to find the winner.
Yep.
And I thought the King of Steel, who was a brilliant, I mean, this is a horse that was runner-up in a derby when he shot clear and just got run down. And then he went to Royal Ascot and he was a brilliant winner there. His next start was the King George over 2,400 metres. And I thought he travelled in the race beautifully as though he was going to win the race. That was at 2,400 metres. And I think we now know that the last 400 metres just hurts him, like we saw in the derby. It just hurts him a touch.
And just before you go into this replay, Richo, in the derby, we remember when he was runner-up, they missed a key race they were going to run in. So, you know, he's a horse that he's clearly had an unbelievable season.
So Westover is the horse just in front of him, and Mustardaf. Now, Mustardaf had won during the Royal Ascot meeting. Both of those horses finished second and fourth behind Equinox in the Shima Classic, which I think is the best form reference going around.
Yep.
In between them was a German horse who just won a Group 1. Back to 2,000 metres. I think King of Steel's our play.
Yeah, I like it. And hopefully make sure you follow those whirlpools, because I think, you know, that liquidity in those markets makes it very attractive, no matter where you are in the world.
Absolutely, and especially if you want to play the exotics. Because some parts of the world don't play the exotics, but with the whirlpool you certainly can. So Irish Champion
These are some of the meetings we've got. We've got Turnbull Stakes there, of course, highlighted by Romantic Warrior. Fingers crossed, all safe as well with him on his trip down. So can't wait for that. It's only a month away, Richo. Can you believe it? It's incredible. And those are all some of the other dates. But Australia figuring prominently. We've got the Caulfield Cup Day, Everest Day, of course, in Sydney, which will be brilliant, and then Cox Plate and Derby Day.
Oh, that is absolutely fantastic. So the whirlpool, make sure you check it out. Hey, our very special guest is Hugh Bowman. Our first show for the new season needs a superstar guest, Hutch. And this guy was a revelation last season with 62 winners.
Yeah, fantastic rider, of course, in Australia, associated with Winx most notably. But what a great season Hugh Bowman had as well in the saddle in Hong Kong last year, Richo.
Yeah, and now in his first full season, he joins us now on the show. Hugh, brilliant to have you as part of the show, mate. Congratulations on last season, and let's bring it on for another big one.
Richo, thank you. It's nice to be back and looking forward to the season ahead. And it is my first full season here in Hong Kong. And Hutchi, hello to you, and Shane, of course. And we're looking forward to hopefully and certainly working on building on the platform that we built here last year.
You must have been wrapped with the season. You had an incredible impact.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I was really, really satisfied with how things went. It was obviously a huge lifestyle adjustment for my family and I, but you know, we've sort of ticked that box now. When we arrived back in Hong Kong a couple of weeks ago, it was like coming home. So, you know, there's a lot of sort of behind the scene things now that that have been achieved, and we're going to be more settled from the start. But from the other side of the coin, you know, I've got to get my fitness levels up to the space they were when I arrived here in November last year too. So one step at a time. But look, I feel like I've got a really good support base here, and you know, from all the trainers and owners, which I spoke about last time I was on the show, and you know, I'm looking forward to working closely with those relationships and doing what I can on this season to deliver the same.
And Hugh, talking about physically, I had the great pleasure of bumping into Hugh a couple of weeks ago in Sydney. He was in Sydney just riding for one meeting, and what struck all of us, Hugh, when we saw you was just how healthy you looked and how fit you looked in preparation for the season. It looks to us like Hong Kong's really agreeing with you.
Richo, it's the money he's making. That's why he looked like that. If he was in Australia, I don't care if he had won Melbourne Cup's Golden Slippers, he wouldn't have won that. When you're making that much money and he's finally got sense and realised, of course he's got to be healthy.
Or it might be the fact that I hadn't ridden for a month and I was nice and fresh, and it was just good to be back at the races, not being pancaked after, you know, endless season. So, you know, there's two ways of looking at it. But look, like I said, we are happy. We're settled here in Hong Kong, and you know, without the support, you can't achieve the goals. So it's a huge thing. But I've enjoyed the lifestyle and the 2 days a week racing, and yeah, we're a new season. We're all starting from scratch, and it's important to come here with the same enthusiasm as I came in November.
Just on that off-season, I mean, obviously you travelled to Singapore, Hugh, and we're taking a look at your Singapore victory. This must have been a big moment.
Yeah, well, here's a golden monkey in the Singapore Derby, and beautifully prepared by Tim Fitzsimmons. And this is a horse that could be competitive, you know, at a high level in any other jurisdiction, in my opinion. Wow. But no, that was I figured that if I was offered the ride, and I thought, well, if I go and ride that's 1 week less off during the off season, so 1 week less to sort of blow out fitness wise and weight wise. And after that, Christine and I took the girls to Vietnam for a couple of weeks before I went to a health retreat in Thailand, and that's where the wheels started to get in motion to go back to Sydney. That wasn't the plan to ride in Sydney, but having a couple of weeks off, doing nothing, really refreshed me. Then a week at a health retreat, Phuket Cleanse in the south of Phuket. I did that on my own. Joined John O'Shea and Tommy Berry the last couple of days of the. I was there 7 days. They sort of crossed over for a couple, but that was good, and it really laid a platform and gave me the physical and mental space that I needed to be in to come back and really hit the ground running. And with the opportunity to go back and ride in Sydney, that's what I did. And I rode Golden Monkey on the way back to Hong Kong. So we went via Singapore. So it was a bit of a round trip, covered some ground, but along with some, riding and some fitness, had some really quality time with Christine and the kids, and that for me was the most important.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Hey, Shane, I reckon the battle between Zach Purton and Hughie Bowman is going to be one of the absolute highlights of this season.
Oh, no doubt. I've said from day one, from what I've seen Hughie ride in Hong Kong, he's the best Australian I've ever seen go to Hong Kong and break in and ride. We've had a lot of very good riders, and Zach Purton's one. You can go through them all. They don't go there and ride as well as Hughie did. Throughout the season, he was sensational, and full credit to him, and there's no doubt he'll come back and be better than ever. And I see this weekend, Richo, he's got 6 rides, and they're all for different trainers. So that's a very, very good sign.
Yeah, it is a great sign. Hughie, I think you might have had some audio issues in regards to Shane, but he was saying that no Australian jockey's ever hit the ground running like you did in that very first season. And you've also done a great job in building relationships. 6 rides on Sunday, all for different trainers, which is interesting.
Yeah, I have, and we've got some nice rides to look forward to coming up. But like I said, I'll be starting off riding at 126, which is equivalent of 57, 2 pounds above my minimum. And yeah, obviously it's spoken about regularly about my competition with Zach. It's not my focus. He's been here, and despite Joe challenging him for some time, he's dominated Hong Kong for the last decade and been right up there beyond that. So it's not. I'm not here to challenge Zach Purton. I'm here to do what I can with the opportunities that I get, and if I can build on last year, maybe focus on possibly 100 winners for the season, for me that would be a huge achievement. So if I can just focus on what I'm doing, I'm sure Mr. Purton will be doing the same.
Yep.
And I'm sure his success will continue at the level it has.
Well, he'll have one eye on you, I'm sure, Hugh. No doubt about that, given the season you had. I suppose I'm glad you said 100 winners, so you've mentioned a figure there. But the other aspect of being up there in Hong Kong, and it's probably difficult at the moment, depending on what rides are available in those Group 1s. But that's the other thing that you probably might want to look toward, some good representation in those big races.
Well, that's what I want. It's a bit like winning the Melbourne Cup. I want to do it, but without the opportunity or the horse to come your way, it's not going to happen. But look, if I can just do the little things right, it all needs the right horse to come through the right stable at the right time, and I'm sure my opportunity will come. We're watching the replay of the champion and trader last year. There was an opportunity that came through Douglas White. So look, opportunities do come, but I can't do it without them. And now that we're based here, we might be able to make some of those opportunities happen.
That was Russian Emperor who came through. That Shima Classic with Equinox winning, and Russian Emperor was out the back to a degree there. That was further franked on the weekend with the German horse that ran third there, winning another Group 1. So that form, Group 1 form from around the world, stacks up, I reckon, anywhere.
Well, it has with those races that are sort of intertwined with Hong Kong, both in December and the QE2 meeting.
Yeah.
With I think
100%.
a horse that competed in against Romantic Warrior coming out and winning as well. So there's probably that next batch of generation. Obviously, Golden 60's gone, and we've got Lucky Sweynesse coming through, but. There'll be some good horses there to pick up, potentially a Voyage Bubble or some of that 4-year-olds from last year. There's a lot of them in that Derby. I know you rode Sword Point, but there's a lot of horses in that 4-year-old category that, one of them's going to step up.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if a couple of them do. It's just as the 4-year-olds, they're sort of challenged to run to the Derby, whether it's their distance or not. Some may want a bit further, some a bit less. So, and also you've got a wave of new horses that are unraced here in Hong Kong, whether they're PPs or PPGs. Some nice progressive horses to come through that line. So look, it's all about building bridges and building blocks, and just sometimes you just need the luck. Like when I got on Werther some years ago. I mean, he ended up the best horse here in Hong Kong for 2 seasons, and it was only through being on the right spot at the right time that I ended up on that horse, and he was a great platform for me here in Hong Kong, and hopefully we can have something like that happen again.
Talking of luck,
yeah.
What about this weekend, Hugh? You've got a book of I think six rides, and you got some nice chances there. What did you feel like your best ride was?
I thought actually Kazi Farazi. He just looks to me ready to rock and roll first day out. The only thing about him is he's probably at his mark as far as handicap goes. He finished his end of last season on a very consistent level, and I rode him a couple of times and got to know him. He trialled unbelievably here the other day. I just hope he didn't go too well and left it on the course. But if he can, I just think he's ready to race really well fresh.
Yeah, I thought the other good ride, I don't know if you've ridden him work. Have you ridden ready to win in any of his track work? He looks like he's going to be a genuine chance there early in the day.
I have ridden him work, and he feels in good shape. And Pulsar Strider, although I haven't been on him, he just looks well placed as well. But it's first day out. You're guessing probably a bit more so than maybe later in the season when you've got a good understanding of everything. But look, I've got a nice few rides, like you said, for a range of different trainers, and hopefully we can strike a blow.
Well, you might have dodged a bullet there because Shane's audio was a little tough towards you, so we've had to drop out, Shane. You probably avoided some hard questions, Hugh, coming your way.
Mate, there's no hard questions, and as I said before, Huey, I want to ask one question to you, Huey. Isn't it nice after a season going away on holiday and not having to worry about how you're going to pay your tax? Did you find that in Australia at the end of the season come July? You're going, how the bloody hell am I going to pay this when you get your bill and it's holiday time?
Well,
did you have that problem?
Well, no, I didn't. I paid it along the way, but it would have been much more comfortable if it was the same tax rate as Hong Kong, I can assure you.
Hey, you played him on a break there. Beautifully done, Hugh. Mate, we're barracking for you. Love to Christine and the family. Good luck for a great season, mate. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Richo. Thanks, Hutch. Thank you.
Good stuff.
See you,
Hugh
Shane.
Bowman, our very, very special guest. Well, let's get our teeth stuck into the terrific card at Sha Tin on Sunday. Let's get our teeth stuck into the form for Sunday at Sha Tin. And we start with race number 4 here. Hutch, who do you like and why?
Well, it's the feature race of the day, and it's a little bit surprising to see Lucky Sweyness at the races. And he'll be very hard to beat. He's going to be $1.30, $1.40, as he was in a similar contest at the end of last season. I've got Victor the winner, close to $5.80, and then Adios back in third, around that $16 mark. Those are my top 3 in the market. But they had a recent trial, Richo, Lucky Sweyness, and of course Victor the winner. Victor the winner, Shane, I thought got very warm actually in a couple of trials up there. It is that time of year, but I think you'd be happy with the way they both trialled, I suppose. But they met on similar terms at the end of last season, Shane, and Lucky Sweyness had the gun run and beat him a length and a half or so. He should probably do the same.
So, Shane, Lucky Sweyness has to give him £20.
Yeah, but he did last time too. There's a big difference this time. Last time, Victor the winner got taken on.
Yeah.
And they went too fast, and it set it up for Lucky Schwers. This time, there's nothing in there that's going to lead Victor the winner, and he's got the right gate, which is gate 5, so he'll be able to come across as at his own will, with Lucky Schwers probably sitting outside of him. So he's probably got a better chance this time than beating him, to beat Lucky Schwers, because he is going to get a soft lead. The only problem is Lucky Schwers is so good, and Lucky Schwers come back beautiful. He trialled definitely better than Victor the winner, and I would still have Lucky Schwers on top from Victor the winner.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a race I'll necessarily play, Richo, because he's going to be very short, Lucky Sweyness.
Yeah,
he should win.
Will $1.40 be available? I mean, will it? Is your gut
probably
feel
not?
even,
I think the total have him about $1.20, I reckon.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So how to play in that race? That might be more of a watch for the future, unless Victor the winner gets out to a totally ridiculous price.
Yeah, he might get out to a backable price. We'll have to wait and see. It's good. It's unusual though, Shane, to see Lucky Sweyness in that race. The top liners don't normally go to the HKA SAR Chief Executives Cup, so it's a strange placement because it means, I think, further down the track, and not so much for this race, Shane, but just quickly, you know, it means he's going to be up now, and then he's got to go all the way through to the sprint in December. It's a longer preparation than normal.
Yeah, but he did it last year. He raced nearly the whole season last year, didn't he, Clint? And he got better as the season went on.
Yeah, but surely there's an end to it somewhere.
Yeah. It's going to be, that is quite a task, isn't it? We move forward to race number 7, and Hutch, you've had a chance to assess the prices here.
I have, and here I like All Is Good. I think Circuit Mighty's going to map well from barrier 1, get a good run. They're definitely a play of some description, I'd imagine, with Bonza Perla. She looks really well handicapped to my eye, and she's a talent, but has been disappointing since going to Hong Kong. But All Is Good. Zach Purton, up in class, drops in grade. I thought that the recent trial was really good from this horse as well, Richo.
Yeah, all is good. So Zach Purton's riding.
Well, this was All Is Good's form towards the end of last season as well. So he's a horse that really hit a bit of form. Of course, Vincent Ho was associated with this horse, Shane, and he ended up with 3 wins at the end of last season. There was no fluke. He was handling wet ground, good ground. He just turned the corner for him, and he was being backed early in the season but wasn't delivering. But he started to put it together, and I don't think the rise in grade will stop this winning sequence going.
I totally agree with you, Clint. He's trialled very well this time in. Of course, he's won his last 3 starts, but they all were in Class 4. Now he's going to Class 3, which is a jump, but I think he'll handle it. He's got a very good gate 2. Maybe Circuit Mighty might lead from gate 1, just looking at this. So he's going to be right there, just in behind with a perfect run. And with Zach on, he's going to be very, very, very hard to beat.
And Brenton Avdullah's riding Circuit
He's
Mighty.
got some good rides, Brenton Avdullah, actually, at the meeting. He could kick off the season pretty well, and we mentioned about Hugh getting some nice ride and support from some local trainers. So is Brenton.
Yeah, well, it's so important for him to really hit the ground, because he's getting towards the make or break time. He needs to make a big impact at the start of this season.
He got good rides at the end of last season, but Zach was on sort of odds-on pops that were winning, and he was hitting the sort of he was there or thereabouts. But I think if he can continue this support, what he's getting early in the season, he'll have a good season.
We zoom over to race number 9. What's your play here?
Yeah, just as a quick, the selections first. So this is a great race, actually, and a really competitive event. Found it a tough one. Supreme Lucky, I think he'll probably start shorter than what I've got him. He's $4.20 with me. I've got Call Me Dandy, who trialled really well and also ended last season in fantastic form. A similar quote, and an Ace 1 in there. We heard from Hugh. He mentioned Pulsar Strider, who ended the season in good form, and also the horse that I think David Hayes mentioned, Solid Shalar, number 9 in this race, and I've got him in the market as well. But yeah, this was an interesting race. I'm going to have Supreme Lucky favourite, Shane, but I feel like, and this is a trial from Supreme Lucky, Zach rode at the end of last season, went back from wide gate, ran on really well, second best last 200 at the whole meeting. But I feel like the value could be around Call Me Dandy, just with the map. And yeah, I think he's the way that I'll be playing in this race, potentially with some exotics as well. What was your take on the race, Shane?
I got Call Me Dandy on top. I think he's trialled better than Supreme Lucky. I like Supreme Lucky as a horse. His form last season was outstanding, and he got some tough or bad rides in races and still handled himself very credibly. He's going to be very hard to beat, but I don't think he's trialled as well coming back than Call Me Dandy. The other thing is there's 9 pounds between them, which is a lot of weight, and he's also got gate 3 Call Me Dandy, and he's just going to box seat. Now, Supreme Lucky, as you know, Clint, can miss the start. I'm not saying he will miss the start, but he has before, and he takes a little while to get going. So it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up from gate 9 if he does miss the start and the big weight. So I've got Call Me Dandy on top for those reasons, but it wouldn't be a surprise if the other horse went well, Supreme Lucky, of course.
I think it's a good race actually to play the exotics and Quinellas and things like that. I'll be suggesting a play on the day because those other horses in the market, I think it's a very competitive race, but I'm hoping Supreme Lucky will start favourite and we could probably bank a Call Me Dandy in a few of those, tiers, trios, that type of thing.
Okay, of course, you price up every race, and that's available through subscribing to Hutchi's Honkers, but you're showcasing 4 of them here, Shane.
I'll tell you what trialled well in that race. Simba trialled nicely. He wants a mile, 14 to a mile, but he is fresh, and his form last year wasn't too bad, and he is second season being there, and horses can improve. But his trial was good. He did trial.
He's a really interesting one, and I'm also... For me, Shane, the jury's out with him in a mile. I think 12-14 is good with him. I think could be competitive here, but he hasn't been an easy one to catch. But
no.
He hasn't been an easy one to catch. He's a bit tricky for me.
And then we need to finish in style. And I've got the arm up the back to say, find us the winner of the last.
One of the highlights of the day, I think, the fact that we're seeing Super Sunny Sing. We heard with Hugh Bowman as well that the 4-year-olds. Well, this is one of the best 4-year-olds from last season. Super Sunny Sing, undefeated over the 1400. He was on a huge trajectory prior to arguably not staying the Derby trip. So this year, how high can he go? Well, we'll have to find out, but you'd imagine they'll be aiming towards taking on Golden 60 in those mile races, and that's where they're going to be targeting. He's starting off early. I've got him. Now, the concern for him with Super Sunny Sing was just the gap between runs. Like, he's effectively had 6 months off.
Right.
And Flaming Rabbit's going to have the fitness and the map advantage, Shane. He's going to be up there rolling along, albeit with weight. I thought this was a hard race. I think you can make a case for both. I think Find Me Love's right in the mix as well. He ended last season also with some of that residual fitness. So that's the advantage for Find My Love, Flaming Rabbit. But Super Sunny Sing could be something out of the box.
I'm not disagreeing. I think this is a bit of a tough race because there's a lot of nice horses in this and they've all trialled all right. I've got Find Me Love on top. His trial was outstanding the other day, and he couldn't have done any more than what he did at the end of the last season, winning 2 and a second. He's also got that 9 pounds, I think it's 9 or 8 pounds from Flaming Rabbit and Super Sunny Sing. And I know he gets back, but from gate 2 and a small field, he might race a bit closer. Flaming Rabbit's done nothing wrong, could get a very soft lead here unless Sylvester, or whatever it's called, the 3-horse takes him on from gate 4, but he might lead Sylvester and Flaming Rabbit sits outside of him. But, Galaxy Witness goes well. So there's a few in it, but I've got Find Me Love on top from probably Super Sunny Sing, Flaming Rabbit. There's a few there.
Yeah, Winner Method's a key runner in that race because he's got no weight. He could lead. He's the one that can probably apply a bit of pressure. Flaming Rabbit doesn't need to lead, but if they sort themselves out quickly and they do control the speed, they'll be very hard to beat. So it's a good way to finish the day. But like I said, I'm not sure which way I'd play, but I've got Super Sunny Sing on top. I'm just a bit concerned about that length of time he's had off. He's had 1 trial, which was okay, but there'll be improvement to come.
On behalf of all Hong Kong punters, we are so excited to be chatting form in Hong Kong. Our very best for the weekend. So who is the best bet? If you have to identify 1 or 2.
Yeah, there's one race that we haven't covered I thought was the best for me on the day, and it's race 2, and it's Fortune Warrior. Loved, he's had 2 trials. He's come back down in grade. Pierung's got him. He's got him ready to go, and I love the way that he was switched off late in his most recent trial. I want to have a Quinella in that race with both 4 more Rice, who's trialled also quite nicely, ran well on debut behind California Veins at the end of last season, and a horse that I thought went okay. Ever Blessing showed a little bit of improvement in a trial, so I think that's the way to play. That is the best of the day for me.
So Fortune Warrior with Zach Purton in the saddle, so you're expecting Zach to get off to a fly. Shane, I don't know if our contract allows us to get a best bet from you. You got something for your little sneaky file for me?
I'll go June Planet in race 8 because a couple of reasons. Jesus, that's a young photo there, mate.
Gee, you look good.
That one?
You look good there, Shane. You look good now too, don't worry.
I probably look better now.
June Planet gets back a bit, Shane.
Yes, he will, but you are on the A track, and we know what the A track can play. You come down the outside. I want to see the track, but if it's a normal A track, he'll get back. Now, I'm going on his first up run last season. His first up run in Hong Kong at Happy Valley was absolutely outstanding. This time in, he's had a trial in China. He went all right, not great, just an easy trial. Couldn't really get a line through his trial. But if he reproduces his run first up, what he did last season, 1400 suits him. Sha Tun suits him. There is a little bit of pace in the race. He could sit back, but that's not an easy race, and he should be value in that type of race, Clint, you know, because you got 3 or 4 horses there you can back very easy. So he might be value, and he never goes bad. So I put him in there as a good bet. I'm not disagreeing with you with Fortune, whatever it's called.
Warrior.
He trialled well. His last run was good last season, and he's going to get the right run, and it's not a strong race. So I wouldn't be going against him, Clint.
No, it's a weak race, I thought.
Oh, I love it.
I've got some other bets, though. A couple of others that we can go over, Richo.
Magnificent. I've got the pen back out.
I think Ruby Sailing. Now, this is a Griffin from last season. I like him down the straight. Brendan Abdullah rides this. Didn't ask much in a trial. It was a little hard to gauge, but I'm going off his actual debut run. It rated well. It ran nearly 56 flat, I think, down the straight. I know they were running time that day, but he showed enough to me there to say that this horse could go really close to winning. I think we can take him as well in a Quinella with numbers 3 and 7, which is, of course, is Champion Method, a debutant for Zach Purton, and Super Fast Dragon for Jamie Richards. And then, of course, I've got All Is Good up there as well. So that's the way that I've seen the meeting. Good luck, punters.
Mate, I reckon your picture too has got a little glow up as well. You're looking fabulous.
I'm not sure that's the case. I think I'll take Shane's.
RS, believe it or not, that's the end of our show. Gosh, it's good to see you, mate. Great to work with you again. We're set for a ripper.
Lovely to see you two again, boys. But keep those younger photos of me off air, please. I don't think they need to go up there. And I'm sure you could find plenty with me with long hair and very skinny.
Well, don't worry. When we get the idol, mate, it'll have the locks, it'll have the mullet, Shane. So that'll be in full force.
A little bobble head.
And Richo, I can't believe you think I had something done with my hair. Trust me, mate, I haven't had one thing done to my hair, even though I should, because it's getting very thin. I'm past that stage, mate. I'm not even looking at that. But the neck, it's got to be done.
Right. So on behalf of all of us, thanks for watching the Triple Trio. Our necks are looking nice and high.
Me and my chins will be back next week.
See ya.